Okay, everyone, here I am back with part 2 on the Senada Saber. That's the 1,000 watt e-bike I bought to make myself kind of a budget hunting bike. I didn't want to do, a trip around the yard or a 2-mile ride and tell you my thoughts on the bike. At this point in time, you can see it's muddy. I've added this Pepsi cooler on the back. This is all kind of setting up to help me hunt. This is going to get painted. This is just to see how it works and stuff. But anyways, I put it through its paces. I have 18 miles on it. That's 2-3 hour days riding in the woods. Riding like lease roads, stuff like that. I'm going to take it down to my main hunting area, and there's a big hill that's going to come later in the video. I really hope it pulls that hill well. I think it will. The other area that I hunt, it pulls the hill very, very well. And that's my biggest problem is hills. So, anyways, let's talk about the overall quality of the bike. The first time I took it out, I put 8 miles on it. It was rainy. It was nasty. We had a big melt here, and there was just water, mud, ice, snow everywhere. The bike performed pretty well. It felt pretty clunky. Turns out that my rear tire was inflated to about 20 psi, so I dropped that down for my second ride. That made a huge difference. The bike felt a lot better. I adjusted the seat angles. This gives you some adjustment on the seat angle. That made the seat a lot more comfortable. I was able to slide it back. What else? The battery performed well. The first ride, 8 miles, I ended up with about half a battery, which I didn't expect to get. They're claiming 26-mile range on this. I'm running up and down hills. I'm running throttle. I'm 230 pounds. I'm putting other stuff on the bike. So I didn't expect to hit that 26-mile range. And we all know that those ranges are the extremes. They're the flattest, probably with the lightest rider they can get, and going using the absolute least battery. I did expect to be somewhere around 15 miles. So yesterday I took it out, and it was very cold. I think it was about 32 degrees when I took it out. And I charged the battery a week before, and it had sat in my garage. And I don't know if you can tell, but you can see my breath in the garage right now. So that battery sat in the garage for a week. I don't know how much that battery got zapped because of that. But when I hit the trail, I was at half battery, and I only made it 9 miles yesterday before the battery died. Now, I think that's because of the cold. I'm going to take it out again today, and we're going to do the hill challenge. Okay, I will call it the hill challenge. But I think the battery's going to end up performing fine. It's supposed to be a lot warmer today. I think it's supposed to be in the 40s today. So that's a lot warmer, and I think the battery is going to perform a lot better. And from what I can see, the bike lacks 0 power. I primarily run around in level 2. Level 1 just isn't enough. It barely assists you, and when you're pedaling through mud and stuff like that, it doesn't really work. Level 2 feels like you got a jetpack on your butt, so it's a little faster. It's a little more aggressive. So I end up using a lot of throttle on level 2 because I can kind of like dial it into where I really, like how fast I really want to go. Because if you just start pedaling, it goes right to maximum. And I mean, that's okay. It's a cheaper bike, so it doesn't have the sensors to sense how hard you're pedaling to give you that power when you need it. And it's a cheaper bike. So, but let's move on to some other problems. The hole in the weld. I show that in part 1. It kind of bothers me. It's front and center. As you can see, I'm a welder. I've been a certified welder for 16 years now. I've built pharmaceutical grade stuff. I've built food grade stuff. I've built semi-wreckers. I've done that over a few different companies. I've also done repair welding. I've done every form. I've welded every type of material, pretty much every type of material. And no way do I find this aesthetically acceptable. Structurally, yeah, it's fine. It's not going to hurt anything. Aesthetically, that is ugly. It really bothers me that hole is right directly underneath my seat. I see it every single time I look at this bike. So I didn't call Senada. I emailed Senada, and I talked to a lady, told her that I thought that this was unacceptable. She asked me to send pictures, which I did. The conclusion to that was they they told me that per 12 inches of weld, they were allowed a 3/8 inch void, porosity, lack of fusion, whatever. Basically, a failed weld. They're allowed 3/8 of that in a 12-inch weld. And that doesn't mean in 12 inches of weld they can have a 3/8 gap. That means in a 1-inch weld that they can have a 3/8 porosity, gap, void, whatever. So, I mean, structurally, there's nothing wrong with it. Aesthetically, it bothers the hell out of me. I hold myself to a higher standard than that, and I believe at a $1,200 price range, because this bike isn't normally $1,200. This bike's on sale. So this bike's on sale for $1,200 probably because they're rolling out new bikes. This bike is originally like $1,800, $1,900. That should have never came out. QC should have rejected that and just had it touched up. Because now in order to fix that, I got to grind, I got to powder coat, I got to touch up the weld, right? I'm not going to fix it because it's okay, it's just annoying. And I've spent way too much time on this. But anyways, in conclusion to that email, I told her that I had 15 years of weld experience and that I do not find that acceptable. I don't care what their engineers say. It's not an engineer standpoint, it's a quality standpoint. It's not aesthetically pleasing. It just makes your product look like crap. And it really does. And she said, well, I respect your professional opinion, and we are willing to give you $10, a $10 rebate, or a handlebar cell phone holder. And that's not what I wanted. And really, I didn't really care to get anything. I just expected a lot more, I don't know, remorse, I guess. But I told him to keep the money, and that I would make sure that this information was put in my review, and here it is put in my review. If you guys want to see those emails, I could copy and paste them and put them on there. But this bike, one of the reasons why I bought this bike is because it came with a 2-year warranty, and if they're not going to stand by that, I doubt they're going to stand by anything else. So, next thing on the list. I got the front rack on. In part one, there was not a front rack. I had to wait almost an extra week and a half for this front rack to come in. So I put the front rack on, and there's a piece of wood that gets bolted down in here. There's the piece of wood. I don't like it. It kind of moves around. It's noisy. Plus, I'm not really going to put anything in this rack anyways. The whole reason why I bought it was to put my gun rack holder on here for my bow. That works great. The rack works great for that. The problem that I have with the rack is they didn't take into account the wires, the cables, the wires, all that. So I had to completely undo the handlebars. I had to take my my gear shifter off. I had to disconnect my brakes, and I had to route all this stuff through here so it wasn't rubbing and going to cause an issue. Because actually, when I first put this on and I turned the wheel all the way to the right, it would lock the rear brake up. And that's a pretty big deal. I mean, I would turn this far and it would lock the rear brake up. So anyways, I just had to spend some time and rerun the wires. I wish they would have thought about that kind of stuff if they were putting a front rack on. But it's not that big of a deal. Like I said, just if you're putting a front rack on, think about your wires. You're gonna have to mess around with that. So in the first episode, I talked a lot about this twist throttle, this quarter twist throttle, and that I didn't think I was gonna like it, and I don't. I don't really like the quarter twist. It's kind of neat. It gives you that kind of dirt bike feel. I'm not after a dirt bike feel, but it is kind of neat in that aspect. You know, you get the twist. But these things have these nice flares on the handles, on the handle grips, you know, so you can really hold on when you're riding. Well, when you want to run that twist throttle, you gotta kind of loosen your grip up to run that twist throttle. I would have much rather this been a full twist throttle or a thumb throttle. There's this red button here that is a shut off for the battery. I have no idea why they do that. Maybe in case the bike gets away from you, you can hit that e-stop. But I bump it all the time with my hand because I'm constantly looking around, and I might, you know, move my thumb and I hit the button and then the bike shuts off. So then I gotta turn the bike back on and get back to going. So I don't really like that button being there. I think it's there for a safety standpoint. The next thing, my bell. I just took a T20 Torx bit screw and I took the little trigger out, so that bell is not ever going to go off again. And that's just a hunting standpoint. If you're going to ride this thing on the road, I would leave the bell on there. It lets people know you're there. And it works for that aspect. The headlight. The headlight on this thing is trash. It is probably, I think you could get a $5 flashlight that would produce more light than that. It's like I said before, it's probably meant just to shine light down a road in a city. This bike is not meant to be used the way I'm using it. I'm being cheap. I don't feel like spending $4,000 on a hunting e-bike, so I'd spend $1,000, okay? But I have my little Amazon light here, which, you know, works wonders. It's very bright, and it's right to my handlebar, so to move with it. I will run the other light to kind of keep light pointing down at the ground. But other than that, the light's not very good, so don't think that you're getting a great headlight. If you're going to ride this thing in the dark, if you're going to ride this thing hunting, invest in a handlebar light or something else. Another brighter light. Last thing, brakes are okay. I don't think that's my last thing, but the brakes are okay. They're definitely not great. This is a 100-pound bike. They stop you, but they do not stop you on a dime. And that's fine. I mean, I don't really need to stop on a dime. I'm not really worried about that. My speeds are right around, at the fastest I'm going through the woods is 10 miles an hour. I mean, Gear 2 in this is like, or not Gear 2, but Level 2 in this is like 12 miles an hour, and that is fast enough. I mean, that is screaming down lease roads on a bike, I think. So, the brakes stop you fine at them kind of speeds. When you start getting up into, this bike can do 28 miles an hour, when you start getting up into those speeds and you hit the brakes, it's not real good. Coming down a big hill, you're going to be flying. The brakes aren't great. They do suffice. That's just saying. I'm kind of on the fence on the brakes. I think that they stop you good enough. This isn't a sport bike. This is more of a cruiser bike. So, whatever. All right. So what else do I need to cover? The derailleur. The derailleur wouldn't go into first gear correctly for some reason, and I had to adjust it a little bit. With a little bit of adjustment, worked just fine. So that's it. That's the end of my complaints and comments and likes and everything else on the bike. And then I'm going to take you guys out and I'm going to show you the performance of the bike. I think the bike performs very well. So we're gonna put that to the test today. I'm going to get an angle finder and I'm going to tell you how steep the hill is. Hopefully I can get my daughter to come out and maybe I'll have the camera mounted on the bike to go up the hill, and maybe I'll have her videoing me halfway up the hill to show you guys me coming and me going. And it's a pretty steep hill, and it's going to be a very, very good test for this bike. Like I said, I've ran it through my testing so far, and I'm impressed with the actual function of the bike. It's just some of the stuff around the bike kind of is a little lackluster. But it's a $1,200 bike, and at that price range, I think that it's fine. So, stay tuned for the trail riding. Okay, everyone, here we are at my massive hill that I have to get out of. This is the worst hill that I will encounter so far. I got an angle finder on my phone, and it says that this hill is an average of 13 degrees. With up there being the worst, it's 17 degrees, probably the last 60 yards is probably 17 degrees. The hill's probably 150 yards long at the most. So I'm going to take that in level 5, assist level 5, and probably 4th gear. I'm going to see what that does. If I need to downshift, I'll downshift. So see what she does. Okay, everyone, that's the worst hill that I'll encounter. I did assist level 5, and I went with gear 1. I went from a standstill. That's why I chose gear 1 once I got down there. Anyways, when I got, I'm coming up the hill, I had to work a little bit. My legs are tired a little bit when I got to the top. Heart was racing a little bit, but the bike did it fairly easy. I mean, I had to pedal assist. I had to help it. That's fine. It's expected. It did it a lot better than that bike. That bike I had to stand up on and really, really pedal up that hill. This one did it very, very well, and that's why I bought this bike. So, anyways, that hill, I mean, that's mud, that's snow, that's grass, that's the works there, and this thing took it in stride. So, Senada, you did a pretty good job on this bike. I'm pretty happy. And I'm thinking anybody that buys this will be pretty happy. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed.